Welcome to the Salton Sea. We're coming to you today from the Salton Sea State Recreation Area in the eastern part of the Coachella Valley, and it's a beautiful day to explore, see some wildlife, and talk about what makes the Salton Sea so unique and interesting. So let's go check it out. You hear a lot about the Salton Sea in the news, and oftentimes the news is not all that great. And it's really unfortunate because the Salton Sea is a really important and amazing place to visit, and for the wildlife who come here and for the people who live around it. In fact, if you come to the visitor center, they have a big sign that talks about the history of the Salton Sea, and they call it the Accidental Sea. And there's this impression that people have, I think, that the Salton Sea is an accident, and why bother protecting this thing that never was intended to be here in the first place? Well, it's true that the Salton Sea was filled by accident, but it's also true that that's been the case for the Salton Basin and for ancient Lake Cahuilla and the bodies of water that have occupied this space for tens of thousands, if not more, years back in the history. It's always been an accident. It's always been Colorado River water flooding beyond its banks and flowing into Southern California instead of going down into the Gulf of Mexico and filling this basin for a few years until it floods back the other direction. So an accident, yes, but it's also part of a natural process that brings animals and people to this area and has for as long as we have records. One of the things that is really hard to miss when you come to the Salton Sea is just how salty it is here. It's right in the name, right? Salton Sea. And it's also in the name of many of the plants that you'll find when you come here. So this plant that I'm sitting next to is actually called salt bush. And there's 3 or 4 salt bushes that you'll find when you come here. This one, which is big salt bush. There's 4-wing salt bush. There's desert holly, which is a salt bush. These plants, and you can tell again by their name, are plants that really thrive in salty environments. Remember, the Salton Sea is receding. So everywhere that we're standing on now used to be underwater, and the salt deposits from the water then are in the soil. When you're visiting, notice how different the plants are than those that you'll see in other parts of the Coachella Valley. And it's because of those salty soils. You can actually see evidence of not just the salty soils here at the Salton Sea, but the salty soils left behind by ancient Lake Cahuilla all the way up into La Quinta and Indio by these same kind of plants that you'll find in just empty lots around your neighborhood. So the main attraction when you come to the Salton Sea is going to be the birds that you can find here. The birds are part of what makes the Salton Sea such an important natural feature in the desert. Water truly is life for the animals that live here, and they're not getting it anywhere else. And the Salton Sea provides a vital stopover in what's called the Pacific Flyway. It's this chain of bodies of water that connects the migratory bird pathways going from Canada through the whole western coast of the United States, down into Mexico and beyond. There's some birds that will make that journey from Canada down to South America and back again in a year. And they stop right here in the Salton Sea, and that's part of why you can see so many different unique bird species when you come. As wonderful and as interesting a place as the Salton Sea is to visit, we can't talk about the Salton Sea without talking about the challenges facing this area. Unfortunately, the Salton Sea is a landscape in crisis. The streams, rivers, and agricultural runoff that have maintained the level of the Salton Sea for the last 100 years are getting less and less, and as they are reduced, the level of the sea is dropping, which means that the habitat for the migratory birds is being reduced, and the exposed playa, the sand and dust and mud that are right now underneath the water, becomes a health hazard to the surrounding communities. There are tens of thousands of people living in the eastern Coachella Valley, right around the shores of the Salton Sea, and millions of people living within the air basin of this area. Air from the Salton Sea can reach San Diego and Los Angeles. come out and enjoy the Salton Sea for yourself and enjoy the amazing wildlife, see this unique perspective on the Coachella Valley, and get involved and find ways to protect this amazing landscape.